videos with me kind of hiding my mouth because I have to say that I had surgery. I removed all my teeth because I was worried about infection. Just like Angelina Jolie removed all her little female body parts. But in any case, I don't want to get into her personal life because that's her, not me. Anywho, let's go start off by saying what I've been up to and go on with my story about Suboxone, Child Protective Service, etc., etc., etc. Here we go. I'm going to put this in my mouth. Thank you for your patience, and hopefully you guys can bear with me. And sorry, by the way I look, but I just got through doing laundry for 6 people, so I'm a little burnt out and tired and been organizing stuff just in case I decide that it's time for us to move because where I live, it's awful, and I'll get into that if I feel it's necessary. But here I go, and hopefully this video will last at least 15 minutes. So I know I do get a little bit off the subject because there's so much that I'm trying to impact into such a short amount of time, and there's so many details that all kind of connect. So if I leave something else, I feel like it won't tell the whole story. So for those of you who can bear with me, I so much appreciate it, and I so much also like the fact people don't say much about the teeth and beat me up for my lack of communication skills, because doing videos on YouTube, some people can do it silly. It's hard when you're talking about something serious, yet you want to have some little humor here and there to grab somebody's attention and to act human. So here I go, flip this around. And hopefully I got this straight. Okay, and I have to look at myself in the mirror. It's not because I'm just in love with myself here, but to remind me where I'm going with the camera. And I do this a lot, always prepping myself up here. That's just nerves. First of all, I have to admit, I was leaving off about having people talk about how I got using the medication, how I innocently got using the opiates, how I tried a couple other things before I finally hooked up on Suboxone back in 2008, how I had to lay low on it because I didn't have the money to afford it, how I had doctors that entrusted me for quite a while with this medication before they started to kind of hum and and then after 5 or 6 doctors, they finally, started to, put 2 to 2 together, and a couple of pharmacy. One decided to call on my behalf saying that she's getting, I found my headphones, too much of a good thing, and by 2009 they pretty much cut me all off of it, so I kind of found fentanyl patches for a while because I had such severe leg problems. I hate to say it, but Clonopins can kind of help. I tried Neurotins, but for some reason they don't seem to do as well when it comes to stuff. But this is what happened. I'm going to fast forward this a little more. When I got pregnant in my early 40s, I already had 5 kids. I had just gotten in a bad funk. I wasn't decorating, and if anybody knows me really well, they'll know, oh my God, she's one for decorating, as you can see in the background here. I'm one for being neat, but I kind of lost that decorating, my collecting, my hobbies, my Hallmark, my matchboxes, my selling on eBay. I was really, really known for that, and I really loved it. I mean, I didn't just throw up curtains and blankets in the windows. I really went to town on stuff. I didn't have a mansion, but I really was quite proud of my home and took very care of what I had and took care of my kids and stuff. But I also knew I was doing more of the keeping up with the Joneses rather than enjoying what actually I had. And I'm learning that now because back then it was more or less keeping up with the Joneses, because I can see even friends of mine still doing that. They're not appreciating what they have. They have to keep having stuff, but yet they're not really appreciating it. And I'm guilty of that too. And it took what happened to me to recognize that stuff is just that stuff. And regardless how you think it's irreplaceable, it's not. The only thing irreplaceable is a person. And with someone right now that doesn't have her two daughters with her, and I haven't seen them since day before Mother's Day of 2015. I am heartbroken. How I don't sit and cry through these videos, it takes a lot of strength. But if you saw me when this case first opened up back in the fall of 13, beginning of fall of 13, I was in hysterics. I could not put two words together. I couldn't even hold a pen to sign my name. I was led to believe if I had joined certain groups that this would bring my children back, and also luckily for me I had a way of getting housing, but because of some of my falseness on my part I couldn't find myself getting housing because I lacked the credit. I lacked people trying to get me the skills to try to get me better ways to get me housing and show me ways to better my credit scores and stuff like that. There just wasn't people out there that were trying. I had these case management people because at the time from 2011 to 2013, right before my case started, I was on Suboxone. I was taking it pretty regular, but I had DHS step in and I was being evicted from my home because I had spent so much money on getting better that I wasn't paying my rent, and it looked bad for them and it made me look like I was doing other things, which I wasn't. But because I was nosy, and I have to admit, I like to kind of listen to other people's stories of what made them become an addict and what made them become on the streets, I have to admit my stupid heart of myself kind of choose to talk to these people, and by doing that it made me look like I was part of that, like I associated with being basically, a low life version like that. And it's sad because these people deserve a break themselves, but unfortunately that's not how they're looked upon, because they're never looking to get better. I could see the difference between me and the people that I would associate occasionally, because these are people I met in a lot of the so-called AA meetings, NA meetings, any of those meetings I took part in from about 2010 until about this past, year ago. I finally quit them because after a while they get old, they get stale. I do not say they're not good for people because it gives you a good start in your character to get better. I just found for me, I had enough of it. So, enough is enough. I share a lot as it is. And it sucks too to be the only one that's talking. You get like 8 or 9 people, and I'm the one doing the talking. And then when I'm not talking, I feel like, 1 minute they go out, I'm not doing all the talking, but at the same time, the room's quiet and it gets more stale, and it just got so boring. And I just found this class was not doing what I thought was in my best interest, my best interest for my recovery of getting my children back. One of the better workers left 2.5 years ago. She was with me for about 7, 8 months. She left in the fall of 14, a year after my case started. I was just running out of people that just didn't seem to want to work with me in this program. I shut off with my doctor I had for 2 years, went with this program for 2 years, and then luckily got back, begged him to get back into the same doctor I had back in 2011. For 2 years, I didn't have them, begged him to get back in. Luckily, I got back in with him, and I'm still back with him. Well, he has since retired, and a new one has taken place. But in any case, I was really feeling kind of ashamed because the program made me sound like I was talking behind their back, saying that the program was no good, which was not what I was saying. I just said it was no longer serving a purpose for me. But as usual, people put words in my mouth. And if you saw some of the incidents that had happened at this so-called rehabilitation, these people had me come 3 days a week to come and pick up my medication, which at that time was still Suboxone. and they wanted to put me on something for bipolar because they heard that I was in a funk, that I couldn't get out of the funk, and once in a while I'd get in a little high, but then it would go away. And they would call it bipolar or a version of bipolar, and I do believe that it is such thing as bipolar, but I just didn't think I had it because that's not how I lived a good 30 plus years of my life. I think the medication killed some of my inspiration that used to come naturally, and I started to rely on the meds to now replace that so-called energy, and now the meds and my own natural body was not seem to go back to the same way. So for me to say I had bipolar or any version of it, no, because I didn't really have highs and lows. I didn't even have semi highs and lows. If you would have to be me to really understand this, there was just like weeks I was just really sad and I didn't want to do nothing. I had it in here, I just didn't have it in here because I don't have guidance of myself or anyone else to I can really trust to direct me into a better way of pulling this out of my ass. Like I said, I've had to go online and look up a lot of things, and I've looked up a lot of tragic stories about people who, if anybody knows me well enough, knows that I talk a lot about this one lady who really stuck up for people that were being harassed by Child Protective Services, and unfortunately, it was a senator from Georgia named Senator Nancy Schaefer, and she was found murdered with her husband, supposedly a murder-suicide. I personally do not believe that, and neither does a lot of other people. She was trying to make a documentary about the corrupt business of these so-called child protective services. They're called other things in other states and other cities and countries, but it all led long before Pizzagate, and I got really, and still am really heavy duty into this because I started to recognize things that I already had said long before I even ran into her article in August of this past year of 16. She had passed away, was found murdered March 26th. It's almost to her anniversary, 2010. She was found murdered alongside with her husband. She had 5 kids and 13 grandchildren. She had a lot to live for, and this lady got murdered because she was trying to stick up for the families that were being really beaten by the system of child protective services. You still can hear me with this fan because it is chilly. It's like 5 degrees out here. And it's really quite sad because this lady really had some awesome things that she wrote, and you guys go online and copy. She had at least taken everything that everybody said, and Alex Jones, who's known for his radio talk show, has her on, and basically what she had said in this letter she had composed. The documentary never got released because she died before this documentary was to be released on TV. God knows where it is now. She had a couple of different people working with her on it. One other person mysteriously doesn't believe that she was murdered. He said it was a murder-suicide. Another person that she was working on with this documentary was found dead a couple of months after she was found dead on a golf course, and supposedly he didn't even like golf. And so there's a lot of mysteries behind why this happened and exactly how to make sense of it all. It doesn't. It just goes to show you there's such corruption in the Child Protective Services, because this is where I stand. I had DHS come in Child Protective Services, and they removed 5 of my kids out of 6. One was beyond the age to be removed, because when I was explaining to them about my funk and my medication, I couldn't, and as you can still see now, I couldn't seem to swing words great, and this being before the teeth were out, and I just couldn't seem to put two together, and next thing you know, these people are looking at me like I was on heavy drugs, and I wasn't. I wasn't so much intimidated. I was just kind of like disgusted that no matter what I was saying to them, I just could tell, I could read right through them, it wasn't being heard. And they were asking if the father was around, and I had my own reasons of why I didn't want to bring him up, despite me and him being together for over 20 years. I had my own reasons of why I didn't put him in the picture, because basically he did not have his own place. He was staying with me at the time. And we were trying to work things out, because just like any couple, been together over 20 years, we've kind of gone through some funkiness. Not real bad or abusive, just, that, we are not really connected, and you lose sight of different things, but you know you're going to get back. My parents had the same thing, and they were married almost over 40 something years, almost 50 something years. Um, and they had their ups and downs, and it didn't mean it got abusive. It just is what marriage is all about. If you stick with someone long enough, not every day is going to be a kissy romantic day. And same here with my relationship with the father of all six of my children. And I still love him with all my heart and all my soul. He has stuck up for me in a lot of manners that times when I couldn't, and vice versa. And he wasn't there, and so they said, well, let's see if your sister can take them. And my sister did for like 9 months, but my kids really missed their own home. My 2-year-old was digging her face. She was stressed, even though she was with my sister, who looks a lot like me in a lot of ways. For some reason, my boys didn't really take to her. um, Two of my other younger ones, because remember there's five, two of my boys were not quite taken to her. Two of my middle ones were. The baby was having a little hard time. I was quite shocked, because I thought my sister, who I watched her kids quite often, I thought she would have me over and say, look, these are your kids, work with me, I'll work with you, let's get them back into your care. But that's not what was going on, and I was quite shocked. I was like, oh my God, my sister's looking at me like a total loser right now. I mean, the same sister that entrusted me with her two babies and took care of them while she worked and had them all the time, when other people didn't want to be bothered with her kids and stuff, because she kind of had a hard one to kind of deal with. Real outspoken daughter, and I'm always the one that they pushed her on to me. So I thought, I had some character about myself to be able to handle some, kids that had a little bit of a little attitude problem. But in any case, my sister kind of gave up on them within 9 months. If there had just been a couple of them, she could handle it. But my kids, one of them was really with her. They put him in a work program in a school about 2.5 hours away from where I live here in Portland. They put him up in a place called Bangor to help boys that aren't really graduating from school and doing well in school. They put him in some of these work programs, and it was working for him. And my other son eventually got into like a half a dozen foster cares. And if I told you the stories about what went on in these foster care homes, was disgusting. My other son, the same thing. He got into foster care homes where I hear stories now that it's scary, because these places didn't even have a bed ready for him, not even a cot, not even a sleeping bag. um, they weren't very nice, and by nice, I mean, without being sued, let's face it, when I say nice, it consists of things that most foster homes are known for doing. When the child's not yours, let's face it, that's why I didn't want to become a foster mom, because I didn't want to pretend I loved the child if I couldn't really love a child. $400 or $500 or whatever they get a month, or an incentive, it wouldn't matter to me. It would mean